So welcome to the podcast, Tiffany.
Thank you.
I am super excited to have you. Tell me, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell me a little bit about you, where you're from, and maybe what you do.
Surely. So I am Tiffany Claudio. I am married to Mike Claudio, who is a business owner. We own a coaching company for small businesses, mainly focused on home service and construction companies. Along with that, we actually started a nonprofit at the end of 2020 called A Champion Shoes. But basically, what we do every day, all day, is work to build champions in everything we do and have an impact with every conversation. So we actually just moved to Greenville, South Carolina area from South Charlotte near you, and we love it out here. We've created a lifestyle. We joke all the time, like where we don't have to leave the house hardly ever. So we are very much so homebodies, but we are also, our businesses are growing very quickly, which has been really cool. It's been a fun journey. I haven't always worked with Mike. That's still fairly newish for us. It's been a wild ride, and we've built a team that we love having around us. So we've built a culture that is by far the best culture I've ever been in. But I am a wife, a mom, a friend who works every day, all day to build champions and surround myself with champions, and build the life that me and my husband have dreamed of for years. So
That's awesome. Tell me a little bit more about your business. So you guys work with, is it other small businesses?
Mm-hmm. Mike and our team of coaches, we now have 10 coaches total, which is grown rapidly. 2 years ago, or actually just over a year ago, it was only Mike that was a coach. But yes, they typically are coaching business owners, other business owners. All of our coaches either own their own company right now and have worked themselves out of their business and can just focus on it and wants to be able to give back and help other business owners do the same. And or they've grown a successful business and sold it, and therefore now they want to be able to give back and coach others as well. So most of our clients are business owners themselves or someone in pretty manager, high level role in a business.
And then can it be any type of company, or is it specific to a type of company?
Most of our clients are home service based. So anybody, any kind of service that would come and service the inside of your home typically, and some construction, roofing companies. We have a few outliers in there. We got a couple marketing companies that typically those marketing companies work with similar audiences like roofers or construction companies. But we have a couple of fitness businesses. We have one gym owner. We have one Pivotal Nutrition. They do the pre-made meals. Mm-hmm. So we have a couple little outliers like that, but our audience, our clientele has grown drastically as well. So that's been exciting. We have about 70 people signed up for next year. So it's going to be a big group of people.
And do you do a course? How does it work for you guys?
It's mainly one-on-one coaching. So everybody, all of our clients get one-on-one coaching calls with our coaches. And then we have quarterly meetups for the main group offer that we have. So it's there's a lot of phenomenal group coaching businesses out there. There's not a lot of that one-on-one aspect. So we hyper focus on the one-on-one coaching to get you that customized approach for whatever you and your business need. And we really do tell people we help people win in business and in life. Because if you're a small business owner, your business typically is a direct reflection of wherever you're at as a person. So if you're struggling with certain things, it's likely that there's going to be hurdles and hiccups in your business just as because of that.
Yeah, so it's like an extension of you.
Exactly. So we help people figure out, Mike tells people, essentially, if you can tell me what you want, we can help you figure out how to get there. So, which is exactly what we've done over the last few years. We're getting ready to go do our year-end planning session because it's almost the new year. And so we do this every year. We look back over the existing year and say like, what did we accomplish? Just kind of reflect a little bit. And then we talk about, okay, what do we want to accomplish next year?
Mm-hmm.
And come up with a game plan on how we're going to do it. So that's what we help our clients with too. Like, where do you
That's
want to be?
awesome.
Where do you want to go?
What would you say like the number one concern or question that small business owners ask you about? Like the most common one that they
The most common one that I get is, how do you get your spouse bought in? Because I left corporate America early last year to come work with Mike, and at the time it was just Mike and Lindsay, small team of 2, but they needed extra hands, and now we have a team of over 17 people. So
in one year.
it's been a wild ride this year. But yeah, that's the one that I get asked most. I'm on the back end side of it,
Right.
and I mainly handle most of I'm director of events now, so we now have a small events team that helps me host all of the events that are coming up. So I'm kind of training them to take over so that I can fully support Mike as like kind of admin, keep him on track with everything he needs to focus on, kind of thing, and then focus on our home. But I get a lot of the questions that I get, and actually a reason why I created a small group for Wives of Entrepreneurs to create a community aspect, because I mean, I feel like every adult says life, like it's just lonely because there's not as much time to intentionally like get together and whatnot, or I should say people don't prioritize the time to intentionally get together with people and find other like-minded people. But so I created a group called Ms. WINncredible to bring specifically the wives of our clients, but wives of entrepreneurs together, because we like, it's just different. It's different when your spouse owns a business and is an entrepreneur versus works in corporate America. And I can say that because I've been on both sides of it, and it's worlds different. So I wanted to be able to create a community to help our clients get their spouses on board, to better understand, okay, this is why I'm working so hard. This is why we're doing what we're doing right now. Because when you start a business, there's typically a lot of sacrifices that come with that. And then, yeah, that's the number one thing. And I think what most wives, once they get a chance to come in and like just get a feel for like, hey, this isn't just us. Like, this isn't just my life. There's other people who get it too. There's other people who go through this as well. There's other women who just understand how I'm feeling right now, which I feel like that's, I mean, any woman could say that, but it's different. So I've created that group to try to help speed up that process, because I was a couple of years behind Mike in this journey. He started his personal development journey before he started his own business, but like it progressed quickly. And when that happens, it creates this gap. Because even though I was progressing in my career, it was different than focusing on my personal development and like trying to continually be better every single day, like just as me, and know who I am and know what I want. So helping close the gap for our clients on that front has been fun for me. And
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I hear you, because my husband has owned a company for 10 years as a small business owner. And I just in this last year have started kind of my own journey of personal development and entrepreneurship. And it is a learning curve. It really is. It's trying to find that balance between, because really starting a company, yeah, it does. It takes all of you. It really takes all of you. You're figuring out a lot of things firsthand, making mistakes firsthand. And that's probably where you come in as a coaching company that can really walk hand in hand with somebody who has goals, who wants to meet those goals.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And like just helping people take just the next step. Because sometimes people get so like caught up in like step 6 and just like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what I'm going to do there. But it's like, you don't need to be there. Like, you're not there yet. So therefore you're not going to know how to do it. Like, just focus on, this is what we need to do next. This is what we need to get in place. So we help people get like their standard operating procedures in place to make it easier when they are ready to scale. It's a lot easier than having to take even more time to train new people. You can say, like, okay, here's how we do this. And everything's living and breathing in a small business. Like, it's always adapting. So
yeah. So you said your journey started in corporate America. That seems like a big change in the last couple of years.
it was a drastic change. And there's been a lot of lessons that came out of that. In corporate America, you wear one hat. Very simple. Like I was very good at what I did, and that's all I had to focus on every day. And I loved working with the team and like helping make our environment better, but I still had one job. I was only responsible for one thing. And then coming over into a small business, you have to flip hats a lot. And then starting a nonprofit. When I was trying to be the executive director and what I needed to be on the Winrate side. And it was even more. Like I struggle being able to flip hats in the middle of the day between the two companies. And so that's been a fairly recent realization that I had to have with Mike of like, I struggle flipping hats. Like I need to find my lane, and that has to be my one and only lane, and I just stick to it. I was like, we are built differently, and I struggle tremendously keeping up with all the things. And to be fair, we do a stupid amount of things in a day typically. Like we get a lot done in a day. We get a lot done in a quarter. We just laid out our initiatives that we have for Winrate for Q1 next year. And I'm pretty sure we have between 25 and 30 items on that list. And we giggle every time because we're like, there's some companies that this is more than they'll like initiatives than they'll accomplish in an entire year. But it's just because we're hyper focused on it. We're hyper intentional on like checking in on it every week. And that's why, I mean, that's honestly why the company has grown as quickly as it has, because we were able to get so much stuff done. But that's how we operate in business and in life. So our days are very, very full. They're very full.
I do love how you said you have to know your strengths and weaknesses and then be able to communicate those. And that's something I remember you put on the intake questionnaire for this is being able to take time for yourself and knowing what your needs are. And I think those are things that, especially after starting a family or maybe making that change from corporate America to entrepreneurship, are things you kind of have to relearn. Was there a journey that you took to get there, or did you have, like, I know for me, like I literally just started therapy and I was like, oh, like I started learning all these things about myself that I hadn't really thought about in 5 years since having kids. Tell me about that. Like, how did you maybe learn your strengths and weaknesses? And then how do you go about communicating those?
That is a great question. I learned how to say I have needs and that's okay in therapy myself. And ironically, I was only in therapy because I'm like, I'm going to therapy to figure out how to support my husband because he struggles with anxiety and I just didn't comprehend it. And so I was like, I'm going to go to therapy to try to figure out how I can basically like help you with therapy tools at home kind of thing. And then lo and behold, I had my own stuff to work through. And ironically, the biggest thing, one of my biggest takeaways was I have needs and that's okay. We hate, like, I think just as women in general, we hate inconveniencing others to like focus on ourselves. But I struggled leaving corporate America because I had my routine. I had my commute. I was like pretty much everybody else's schedule worked around mine because mine was very like, I'm going to be in the office by 7 so I can leave by 3:30 and like be home for the evening with you guys. And luckily my mom was she was our childcare for 5 years. So like she set us up. I was spoiled rotten. Like she would do everything so that when me and Mike finally got home at the end of the day, we just had to spend time as a family. That was it. So I was absolutely spoiled rotten. But it was a shock when I switched to this side of the house and realized like I have to structure my own day. I was expecting my routine to just like form itself. When I hopped over here, it was just like all of a sudden be like, okay, this is what I'm doing every day, all day. Like it'll just come together. A couple weeks in, Mike had to sit me down. He was like, make a list of all of your priorities right now, like work, life, all of them. Like just list it and don't get up until you're done. So I like sat there and I listed it all out. And then he was like, okay, now go to your calendar and create time blocks. Put time on the calendar for everything that you just listed out. And or if you're questioning, should this be a priority, like come back and we'll talk about it and figure out like, should it be a priority right now? Or like what needs to adjust kind of thing. So that's how I had to learn in this entrepreneurial, like free reign, like with my time, we operate off of routine and time blocks. Which is why this week I was late to my podcast interview with you, because I have no time blocks this week, because I was just like, we're getting ready for Christmas, so unexpected things happen in business. And so that kind of threw all of us off this week, and we're kind of scrambling. And that's the good part about it, is you can pivot when you need to, but without those time blocks, then I find myself late or missing things or forgetting to complete things. So created that priority list, created my time blocks, and then just had to get into the habit of honoring those time blocks. Because if you don't, like, they're no good. They're useless. So
that's something that I'm learning now. And because I am still in corporate America, I still have my 9 to 5. And so my time blocks come in between, you know, like my lunch break or right before work or after the kids are in bed. But if I have an unexpected amount of time show up randomly on my calendar, I am so scatterbrained. I have no idea like even where to start or what to use in that time, you know? And so that is something that I'm definitely going to start putting into practice is those time blocks for the tasks that I need to do, just with editing and scheduling podcasts, reaching out to people, things like that. So that is definitely something that I think we just don't have to do in corporate America, because like you said, it's there for you. You're doing your thing, you put in your time, and that's it. You don't really have time for anything else, or you have to structure your day as far as what I do in my job. So that's interesting.
And I learned with the time blocks too, of like keeping them just generic enough, but just specific enough. Because I would get so nitty gritty and be like, okay, this 15 minutes I'm gonna be focused on like podcast editing. This 15 minutes I'm gonna be focused on like scheduling or planning my social media. And then it's like, if you go longer than that 15 minutes, and it like screws up the next one. So I learned to bake in a little bit of white space in there, so that like for the unexpected things, but also keeping it more generic and saying, okay, this 30 minutes is going to be podcast related. Anything and everything I got to do for the podcast, I'm going to do during that 30 minutes. And like, typically if you give yourself a certain amount of time, you will find a way to fill that time. Right.
Yeah. There's always something to be done.
Yep. So being realistic with them as well. But that was the hardest part for me. And like, so mine change it. Like I adjust my time blocks like quarterly, because we do every quarter, both in business and in life, we'll do a SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So another way we identify our strengths and weaknesses is that Mike and I started running our life and our home as a business before he even started his own business. Because he's like, if it's important enough for companies to do cash flow meetings, to do SWOT analysis, to do quarterly initiatives, like then it's probably wise that like we do the same, right? So we've run our home like a business for probably 5 or 6 years now. And it opens the door for that open communication, where like sometimes he can identify strengths or weaknesses for me that like I just don't see, because like you're so close to it, especially if you're looking at yourself. Most of the time we all hate talking about and pointing things out about ourselves. So it opens the door for that like non-emotional conversation with each other to say, hey, here's where I see you're either like you're killing it right now and giving yourself credit, where like you're really strong in this area right now, but like for me, active listening is something is a weakness for me right now. I interrupt. I'm like, just because things are moving so fast, it's hard to slow down. So I'm not great at it still, which sucks, because I used to be a great listener. But I find myself stopping more and like physically like adjusting and being like, okay, I need to be present like right here. Like my kid has been screaming my name for 20 minutes. Like there's a reason, like, let's just like stop and pay attention. Completing tasks like to actual completion was one of mine for a couple quarters, where it was just like, I need to continue to focus on that. I need to make sure that like when I'm doing something, I'm doing it until it's done, not just good enough to be able to check the box off and keep going, because you still got to come back and finish it at some point, you know?
I like your approach to that as far as like treating the home like a business, and more so to take the emotion out of the constructive criticism. I feel like, I mean, obviously there are times in relationships and marriages where that's hard to have that conversation without feeling like you're hurting their feelings or someone being offended. But I think if you did kind of approach it as saying like, hey, this is important for the health of our family, and it's not picking one person apart, but it's working together as a team.
Yeah.
I really like that approach and that idea behind it. I'm hoping that can help somebody maybe in their conversations, because I feel like that's where conversations die, where the conversation's not going to be had because they're afraid to help to really, it is helping the other person.
Yeah. And it's like, it's seeking to understand. It's not, you're not opening that door to be like, I need to tell you everything that you're doing wrong, and I need you to like focus on it right now. You need to approach that conversation more so of like, okay, like we're in this together. We both want the best for each other and for our family. So like, what does that look like? Where are we thriving right now? Where can we be better? And like genuinely asking, like, where can I be better? And like, there's always gonna be things like you can put your phone down more often, not bring it to the dinner. Like, there's still times where phones end up at the dinner table, and it's just like, no, like we don't let our kids bring electronics to the table. Like, let's just like please put it away. But then there's also days where we're very understanding and like understand that there's things happening. But it's approaching those conversations more so on that understanding side of it versus like, oh, I'm ready to tell you all the things that I need you to fix right now,
Right. And I think doing it in advance before it gets to that point in life where you're just like ready to to let it all out.
Yeah. And we still have those moments. Let's just be clear.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're gonna happen. So you talked about like, I mean, obviously small business, you work from home, your kids see this. How involved are your kids in like seeing how you kind of run the household, run the business?
They are very involved. Right now I can hear them screaming downstairs actually. But we decided to homeschool them when we moved. So we moved in June, and decided to just jump right in July with homeschooling to start getting them into a routine. Which that's a whole nother podcast, because that's been a journey in of itself.
We'll have you back.
They are involved every single day. So they see us, they see our team meetings, because we have team meetings Tuesdays and Fridays where people are like coming into our home and we're all sitting around our dinner table having meetings, and they have to, like, the kids right now, we're in a certain in-between phase where like they have to go like maintain themselves. And it's like, okay, you guys, I need you to be responsible right now. This is what we're doing. They've been a huge part of our nonprofit. The whole reason we started the nonprofit was so that we could do something with them and involve them in our giving back. And so they've been a big part since day one, and they'll like hop into the assembly line and help us stuff boxes and attempt to wrap, because we wrap every pair of shoes that we send out. But they're learning a lot solely from just like watching us do what we do on a daily basis and understanding. And we've always talked to our kids pretty much like they're adults, in the sense of like when Mike was starting to, when we kicked off our promotion for next year's programs, because most of our programs are 12-month commitments, in the sense of you start in January, you end in December. So in October, when we were opening the door for people to start signing up for that, Mike sat all of us down at dinner, and he was like, look, the next 6 to 8 weeks, I'm going to be preoccupied. Like, I need you guys to understand, but if you need me, there's a process for that. Right. And so like, if you need me, have mom like basically use a safe word essentially and say like, hey, I need you to check in on the family, like for just a minute, just a little bit. But he was also very intentional of making sure when he had family time blocked on his calendar, he was present for family time, So it's been cool, and they pick up on a lot of stuff. They catch things more than you think they do.
Oh yeah. And what are your ages again?
They're 7 and 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, tell me more about your nonprofit because I'm really excited for it. And your company and your nonprofit, I want to link in the show notes so that people can find you. So
Absolutely. So our nonprofit is a Champions Shoes. We provide brand new brand name shoes to underprivileged children. It's kind of a anti-bullying, kind of under disguise. What we do is within the shoe box that we send out, we provide socks and a handwritten note to each child. We'll customize it with their name, but all of them say, "We believe you're capable, go be a champion." So Mike's like, if even just one child takes that postcard and like sticks it in their mirror and it changes the trajectory of their life, all of it is worth it. Mm-hmm. So, but we started that end of 2020. Initially we were just going to do 100 pairs as a family. And then Mike's like, why are we stopping with 100 pair? And why are we stopping this year? 6 weeks later, we had a nonprofit. That was like Black Friday, I think, is when we got our letter saying like, hey, you're officially a nonprofit. That first Christmas, we sent out 335 pairs of shoes out of our home garage. And we lived in a townhouse at the time. It was wild. That was the first time I'd ever been like up all night on Christmas Eve wrapping our own stuff, because I'd been wrapping shoes for 6 weeks. Not even. It was wild. But since then, that mission has grown just crazy. This year, I might cry. We will have sent out almost 4,000 pairs of shoes this Christmas.
Tiffany, oh my goodness.
Just this year alone.
That's amazing. I'm like, got goosebumps. Oh my gosh. Just hearing about it.
That was a stretch this year. We've definitely had some learning and growing pains with like growing a team and learning that we need more people kind of like locally than remote for that. But yeah, no. So next year we might have to have a more realistic number of what we're striving for back to school and Christmas, just with the team that we have and our focus for next year. But it's still, when you think about that many pairs of shoes, like that's multiple schools worth of children that we were able to help this year. And it was nationwide because we have corporate sponsors all over the US. So we've helped kids in Texas and up in Michigan and Ohio. And it's been wild.
Wow. So how can we get involved to help support that? Is it like a monetary donation or
monetary donations that is the best way right now. We have our event and volunteer coordinator has done a great job in finding local volunteers here in the Greenville area that help with wrapping and whatnot. And we've got a lot of partners that help us find kids at this point, which is that is a blessing in and of itself. So yes, monetary donations would be the biggest help, especially right now, because as part of the Christmas push, it's really hard to get that many pairs of shoes out between like, we start trying to collect in October, but usually start getting information in November to get out in time for Christmas. And then kids are out of school, which is typically how we're distributing the shoes is through the school system, because that's the easiest way to access the children. So what we did this year was we're going to do some that are New Year, new shoes. So the kids will get them upon returning back from Christmas break. So right now that would be the biggest help. I think we've got most of the shoes. We've got all the shoes out that we had to get out before Christmas, but we still have the New Year, new shoes that we need to get out. And the fundraising piece is where we lack on the volunteer side of the house. So that would be the biggest help right now.
That's amazing. I can't even believe that. You guys started in 2020, end of 2020.
Very end of 2020.
So in 2 years, you've given almost 5,000 pairs of shoes.
Yep.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. I'm sure your boys love that.
They do. They love helping pick out, which is cool because we still purchase to order. So essentially we have to get the children's name and we don't hold inventory. So we've partnered with Academy Sports, which has been a huge help in the sense of getting shoes at a more affordable rate because we're still buying retail. So they're able to work with us a little bit. Their team was super excited to be a part of it. So they actually help us pull the shoes now. But when we still have the big shopping days where we go pick, my boys love to run around. We have labels that have the kids' names on them, and they'll run around and be like, I'm getting shoes for Jamie. Like, let's go get these shoes. Like, let's find something with pink. Or we like to have fun, but we like to refer to the children by their names, so they're not just another number essentially.
Very personalized.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What does it mean to you to be living in your legacy?
I think going back to knowing exactly what you want and creating a game plan to accomplish that. And I can honestly say that Mike and I have done that. We've had vision boards for years. We went so far as to build out a spreadsheet to say like, okay, everything that we have here, like what would that cost us like monthly, not even just annually, like what do we need to bring home monthly to make that happen? And we did it. Like we accomplished it. So now we're like, okay, shoot, we got to dream bigger. Like what's next? Where like what's next? But truly, if you know what you want, you can create a game plan to accomplish it, and then you truly can live the life of your dreams.
Love that. Speaking on that, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Maybe what's that moonshot vision? What's that giant thing that you want, that you and Mike want?
Our vision is to be able to work with whoever we want, wherever we want, whenever we want. So just having that time and financial freedom to where if we want to go work from the other side of the world, we could do so. That's about as far as I got, because we've learned even like 2 years out is a stretch to know, like, because if you set your game plan and your goals, you're likely going to accomplish your 2 to 5 year plan much faster than you anticipate.
Yeah. I mean, and you hit it on the head saying get specific with that vision board, get specific down to the monthly income you need to accomplish the dream that you have.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like, I mean, there's a reason like positive affirmations, vision boards are a thing, because it really does put a tangible piece to your dream, and it makes something worth working for. Gives you the roadmap. I love that.
It does. Yeah.
Well, Tiffany, is there anything else you want to share with us before we go?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. I always have my little like send off, which is thank you for showing up today and being authentically you. The most costly thing you can do is be real, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. We'll have you back.
All righty. Thanks, Jill.
Bye.